All right, brand new podcast. We're doing this. We've talked about it for long enough. I feel like the moment is ripe. The iron is hot. And what the market demands is something different than the other podcasts that we recently abandoned.
I think that we have to explain to people that this podcast started with basically the idea of how do we take a sheep on a surfboard and turn that into a podcast?
Okay. That isn't exactly how it started at all.
That's not. We do have a cool logo, though, which is probably the reason you clicked on us. And I was mostly responsible for that.
Yeah. How this podcast started was as a different podcast.
It was a series of different podcasts.
You guys remember that guy, Terry?
Who's telling the story?
Do you guys remember
telling
Terry?
the story?
I did
Am
feel
I
like
telling the story?
No, I think I was telling the story.
I mean, because if we're telling an origin story, it isn't like in a time long, long ago. Well, there's really actually two different versions of a long time ago.
Right. I mean, you don't see Batman like watching his parents get murdered in an alley, and then someone's like, it wasn't really an alley as much as it was like they got in a car wreck on the freeway.
So what you're telling me is you don't believe in alternate universes?
No, I think there's clearly alternate universes.
We want to get started on the right foot.
Fine,
so
you just focus on one universe. Go.
Okay. The universe that I live in.
Right now. Well, you kind of live in all of them, but the one that you're aware of, conscious of right now.
There's actually an alternate universe right now where you are telling the story I was going to tell.
I think there's an alternate universe where you shut the fuck up.
I think the universe that I live in right now
I don't think that exists.
Is also that this podcast is about to become the next failed podcast. If we don't get it together, okay? No. We thought we had a good approach.
Yep.
Take four guys, roughly the same age, slightly different personalities, somewhat different upbringings, and let's have them tackle just
the world around
straight up guy talk.
Yep.
Right? And we did that, and it was awesome. And we learned how to edit some stuff. We learned how to get together on a regular basis at a regular time.
So good.
We had some very funny content that I'm hopeful that we can incorporate in future episodes, but we don't have consensus on that just yet. And we'll probably not even maybe refer to that person who is now kind of like one of the drummers in Spinal Tap.
You're talking about Terry?
I'm specifically talking about Terry.
Okay. Just want to make sure who we're talking about.
And I just want to be sure that anybody who listens to future episodes know that we will forever miss Terry's participation. But we're going to move forward, and we have a different concept and a different way to execute it. We've streamlined our approach. We have some good elements that we're going to include. I think we've come to have a better understanding of who we are, and there was a pandemic in the middle.
Immediately, people are wondering what happened to Terry. Like, was he murdered?
I don't think we should spend too much time talking about Terry, because Terry's the past.
He's the past. We're moving on.
As much as we love Terry.
Future.
Do you realize how close we were to becoming a true crime podcast right there? It was so close. You almost took us there, but Jamie brought us back.
I feel like we're halfway to murdering our listeners' ears.
Yeah.
Right now. I mean,
Possibly.
It's attempted content murder that we're all in the midst of at this moment.
Honestly, listeners, it gets better.
We hope it gets better.
Well, we've done like 1,000 episodes. Oh, this is supposed to be the first one.
We have a great name, BHHcast.
Bah.
Based on our initials, predicated on the concept of sheep on surfboard.
Shepherds.
Right? Which means, essentially, it's like an approach to life. Get out of your comfort zone.
Yep.
Right? Find your happiness.
Yep. And by the way,
own your zen.
Yeah. And go ahead and keep at it and keep trying.
Keep trying.
Because eventually you're gonna ride that wave.
Right.
And the first time you fall off and there's failure in life, but you know what? Failure exists. Yeah. So you honestly, people who are in for our podcast, you're in for a journey. It's going to be growth.
Come on it with us.
Yeah, it's going to be growth. You're going to see us evolve. You're going to come with us. Throw it in on your commute, and just, I don't care if you don't pay attention to every word. You can go ahead and listen here and there, but I'm telling you, it's going to be life-changing.
And for what it's worth, we're at the dawn of a pandemic. I have no idea how long your commute or not commute is going to last. We're all in a new world.
Yeah, maybe while you're doing dishes, maybe you're doing laundry. I don't even know.
I don't know what you're doing,
maybe you're mowing the lawn.
Standing 6 feet away from whoever you might be listening to this podcast around.
Because that stuff's airborne.
Right? Mask up, cover your ears.
Because it's about to get crazy up in here.
It is about to get contagious.
Anyhow, I think it's going to be a great show. I know you guys, you entertain me in at bars and at basketball pretty regularly.
For what it's worth, I make a commitment to the two of you not to have forgot to book a guest for future episodes, as I did for this evening.
Okay. Can you make a commitment to be on time?
That's unlikely to happen.
Okay.
Well,
maybe we should set some goals.
There is a piece of advice I once got.
Yep.
That said,
make them wait.
Nope.
because that's apparently the advice you follow.
Just be honest. And when somebody says, do you want to be on time? I don't want to be on time.
Just say no.
No, I don't want to.
And then when people say why,
I don't have to give you an explanation.
just say I don't want to.
And you can expect that episodes will drop every Tuesday, unless maybe it's Wednesday or I don't know, maybe it's
Right.
Thursday or
Yep.
Try
to do Tuesday, unless
I'm not even gonna make that commitment that there's gonna be a day of the week. We will provide new content when we're able to make new content. If it turns out that it's weekly, if it turns out that it's a day early in the week, so be it.
Okay. I mean,
I
I
don't
like your
wanna
no commitment.
Overpromise and under
You're making a commitment to not commit.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
If we were forming a boy band,
Yep.
I would be the responsible one.
Would you be?
I'm pretty sure you described
Yeah, I am.
I
would
think
be
you're
the
just
responsible
responsible, the
one.
bad boy.
right.
Oh, can I be the bad boy?
Yeah, honestly, like you're describing the bad boy, and I'm not sure that position's appropriate for you.
You literally
but
just
yeah.
said, I'm
I
going to
won't
show up
be
when I
on
want to
time,
show up.
and I'm not going to commit
I'm
to
the
putting
responsible
things
one.
Oh,
out.
I will
Yeah.
totally be the bad boy.
I'm the responsible
Can I be
one.
the bad boy of the podcast? I've never gotten to be the bad boy ever for anything.
Are you willing to wear sandals?
Absolutely not.
No, you can't be the bad boy. That's a clear distinction. If you were a bad boy, you clearly wear sandals.
With fungus on
There
them.
has never been a bad boy that has worn sandals.
Nuke LaLoosh.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he wore sandals, shower shoes.
That's impossible.
Okay, well,
I'm
watch
telling
Bull
you
Durham.
that that's a fictional character.
Think how close you were
What do
to
you
being the
think
bad
boy
boy of the
bands
group.
are?
I am the bad boy of the
No,
group.
you were almost.
I've
So
already
funny.
claimed it.
Talk about
No,
fictional
I'm
characters.
now the bad boy
You
of the
were
group.
almost, but then you won't wear sandals. So, I mean, it's Adam, you want it?
It doesn't matter. It's a podcast. Nobody needs to know what's on my feet.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean, clearly, I'll take the bad boy.
okay.
You can
I'll be the responsible one.
you can be
Okay.
responsible. So what's he going to
Okay,
be?
wait.
The guy who puts on weight in the
Hold on a
reunion show?
I'm the guy that puts on weight.
Yeah,
in the
you'll
show?
be. Yeah.
Okay.
Honestly,
That could also be the bad boy.
no, it's
Yeah.
usually not.
Bad boys.
It's usually the doughy.
100% put on weight.
Yeah.
Between graduation and reunion,
Oh,
the
no.
bad boy's always getting paunchy.
Lance Bass is not punchy.
Who?
Lance Bass?
Was he the bad boy?
Wasn't
Bass
he?
wasn't the bad boy.
Oh,
Which
he was
boy
the
band?
responsible?
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay. I'd like to recast myself then in the boy band that is this podcast.
Yes.
I'd like to be the forgettable one.
Okay. Well, honestly, you come pretty far on that one already. Yep.
All
Was
right,
he
so-
even in
Was he
that
even
band?
in that band?
Was he even who was that guy?
Yeah.
So I desperately want to make the suggestion that we assume that the listeners are there and that we don't actually refer to them as listeners. They're either sheep or they're ignored,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
You would make a terrible shepherd.
I'm the best shepherd. I'm a killer shepherd.
Did you see in the pre-thing his meat and three question?
Who's going to know what a meat and three
Nobody
is?
has any
Don't,
clue.
honestly, hang on a
like
second.
that's so funny. Like
Let
I
me-
honestly had no idea what a meat and three was until I moved to Atlanta.
Just
so,
you be
yeah.
patient.
Okay.
Be patient.
Okay. You
Everybody's
watch.
gonna understand.
We're gonna put a tote bird up. We're gonna figure out how many people actually know what you're talking about.
I would say half or better.
Yeah, it's the dumbest question I've ever heard. It's probably gonna. Yeah,
It's
it'll
a
be
great
this,
question. I'm not interested in
I
doing
like the
cotton
information
candy.
it pulls, but it's such a weird way to get
And
it.
who's going to have a business card? And 20. Come on.
I know. For you, like honestly, for a forgettable one, it's so forgettable.
You may remember before the tragedy that befell Terry.
I thought we weren't gonna talk about that anymore.
I feel provoked
Okay. Okay.
that we would spend inordinate time on non-productive show prep,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, I agree with that.
I want something that's a little looser, flows a little better, stays a little more organic.
Okay.
So I think if we ask the same questions,
That's
very
loose.
basic,
That's loose and organic because
It
we
gives
ask the
the
same
guests-
questions every time.
it helps us because we can then stay listening, active listening to the people that we're talking to,
Okay.
right?
We'll give it a try. I honestly don't think it's gonna work, but we'll give it a try.
I think it's going to be amazingly successful.
You think people are going to
Primarily
open up? You
because-
think people are going to open up about their personal lives and about kind of what their guiding? What'd you call it?
Organizing principle.
So no one's going to do.
You are aware of what memes are, right? Affirmational memes. Have you ever followed hashtag debt free journey, hashtag debt freedom?
No one's going to do this.
There are a lot of people posting on social media asking for podcast recommendations, and they're saying, "Do you have any with where people talk about organizing principles?"
Meat and trees.
Yeah. You're going to be surprised. that there is a massive demand.
For comedians talking about organizing principles of their
I
life.
wanted to do true crime, and you guys rejected it.
Well, there's a lot of true crimes.
That's because there's a lot of demand.
Okay. We could still do a true crime.
You know why Casey Kasem's Top 40 was on for 473 years? Because there's always pop hits.
Why didn't anybody ever just come out with a top 10? Who wants to listen to the 40th best song? You're just sitting around waiting for...
We're counting them down.
Right. I mean, just give me the top 10.
So listen, this is a good... You have introduced
Didn't Letterman do that top
terrific... True.
Yes. If you had done top 40, would you have sat around and
Oh
listened?
my God. Could you imagine the longest monologue?
One,
Top
it
40
creates
reasons.
more opportunity to sell, okay? So it's not just because you're going to listen to the top 10 songs. It's because I can, at song 38, do my long-distance dedication. If I only have 10 songs to work with, do you know how crowded that show feels?
Just do it at 6.
I'll feel like we've made it in this podcast if we have to do a long distance dedication to like our listeners in New Zealand.
I'll feel like we've made it in the podcast if anybody in the United States can figure out what a meet and 3 is.
I think we'll have made it in this podcast if the majority of our listeners have never actually had to use long-distance calling, because we now live in an uncharged phone universe. So the idea that you would even make a long-distance dedication, I value your relationship enough to actually go into my pocket.
Hold on a second. I don't think the long-distance dedication had anything to do with phone bills.
Yeah, it did.
No.
I'm not with you.
No,
I
it
can't
was.
be
That's
with
not
you.
what it was.
I'm having to reach out to the DJ because I can't afford to call the person that I love.
Okay,
So
I think he was just saying,
my-
"Look, I'm gonna make this dedication over a long distance." Which
No, it's
it
because-
wasn't had to do with phone bills. He's just saying, I'm on the radio.
It's because someone wanted their
And the
loved
people
one.
are separated.
No, the loved one wanted to say, "Hey, listen to the top 40 today. I think you should listen to the top 40. Who knows what'll pop up?"
Right, and say you're in Alaska, you're in Russia, you're in Egypt. You can listen to it. If I'm in Chicago, you can listen to it. Long distance dedication had nothing to do with phone bills.
Hold on. First of all, you
crossed the line.
You have attacked my childhood.
You just attacked the
I'm
wrong
going
kid.
I'm going to refresh.
I'm gonna roundhouse your ass
I'm
right
going to
now.
refresh the recollection of any person within the sound of my voice right now.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you that today's long distance dedication comes from Bobby. And Bobby is in San Diego in the Navy. And Bobby wants to send his sweetheart. And that's, I'm approximating what Casey Kasem
Yeah.
used to sound like.
At any point does he say, Bobby couldn't afford the long distance phone bill associated with this, so he told Barbara, I love you.
Bobby writes, I don't make enough money to call you, but I'd like you to listen to song number 18, Air Supply's, whatever Air Supply song was.
Do you think there was ever an argument after someone made the long distance
Dedication?
dedication? Thank you. And they're like, "What? You couldn't go top 10? Like you had to do the dedication to song 27? What does that say about our love?"
No, that actually never happened. That
That
seems
never
weird that
actually
you even bring it up.
Yeah. I would say if I was in a relationship with a person and I had made a long distance dedication to a song that was not yet in the top 10, that I would say, I expect the popularity of this song to grow much like my love has grown for you. And that someday it will not simply be 27th or 28th, but it will be number 1 in my heart and at the top of the charts. I'll commit to doing this podcast with this format. We'll do podcasts, we'll do sheep on surfboards, we'll leverage the logo, we'll do meet and threes, we'll figure out something to do with the comedians.
Kick-ass logo.
Okay? All of that's going to be awesome.
Okay.
As soon as I feel like you guys are not wobbly giraffes, I'm starting a top 40 long distance dedication podcast. Separate side project.
By yourself? Or
I mean,
you're going to take me with you? We can cut Harmon.
In
that what we're
episode
saying?
1,
Are we
you're telling
saying?
us your exit strategy.
I just don't want it to come as a surprise.
You feel so poorly about the prospects of this podcast that your
I'm in.
exit
I'm
strategy,
100% in.
your
He's
exit
given-
strategy
he's
is the
given
top
2
40.
alternate ideas.
Right.
And he's actually told us he's leaving as soon as we get our
I'm
feelings.
100% in. And
Good news, listeners. As soon as you get into this podcast, guess what?
You're going to have
One of the
something else
hosts
to
is
listen
gonna
to.
leave.
You're going to be like, oh my God, I love the podcast.
And you're going to be stuck
But-
with good looking and boring.
But have you?
All right, so sheep, come along on the ride with us.
It's going to be fun.
And for what it's worth, I have looked at a lot of user posted sheep herding videos. And you kind of have to come up with your own little like
Way to call them.
way to call the sheep.
Yeah. So people say, whoop, 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 whoop.
Yeah, I'm sticking with taka taka.
Taka taka. Where's that come from?
Taka taka. One of the guys. He seemed to be most effective.
What does he just yell taka taka and the
Kind of
sheep
like
come?
taka taka. It's this whole thing. Like it's a real sheep experience, which sounds kind of sketchy when you say it that way.
Yeah.
But you go to New Zealand and they have some demo sheep
Taka
that you
taka.
can try to call. And
that.
and the people go out and they make their noises and they do their gesticulations and the sheep are not paying attention at all. And then here comes,
Great. Now you say gesticulation. I got to put the explicit tag on the episode.
I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, watch your mouth.
If someone's listening to this podcast and expects dumbed down vocabulary,
Yeah,
they
honestly.
have come to the wrong place.
Because I'm not going to say shit, even if my mouth's full of it.
Yeah. I haven't lived this long with some outdated SAT scores on the verbal section not to be able to bring all of my vocabulary to the table.
Taka taka, though.
Taka taka.
Okay, I like taka taka.
I do like that.
All right. Enjoy sheep. We're going on an adventure. Giddy up. Put your seatbelt on. Let's go.